All right, everyone. Well, thank you and welcome. We're so glad that you're here today to talk about where mission meets automation. This is a combination of Canvas Cloud and Epiphany's Drive Connect. You guys can see my screen okay, correct? Right? Okay. All right, great. All right. So I want to talk about our first presenter, Shannon Hayes. She's got 4 years sales experience. She has 5 Salesforce certifications. She's a monitoring and evaluation professional. She holds a bachelor's degree in Arab studies and a master's degree in Arab studies, and she's focused on nonprofits on their visibility, outcomes, and impacts through Salesforce. I'm Rob OBrien, and I've got about 8 years of Salesforce experience. I'm 3 times certified. I used to be an entrepreneur before I entered the ecosystem. I help lead the Chicago nonprofit user group. I co-lead Chicago Salesforce Saturday, and I help lead Nonprofit Ask Me Anything, which is a monthly office hour that is co-sponsored by Salesforce. And I am on the executive team of Nonprofit Dreamin'. And our final guest today is Josh, and Josh brings over 8 years experience in the Salesforce ecosystem. He helps teams design and deliver scalable, customer-focused solutions built on the Salesforce platform. His background bridges sales and product strategy with a focus on solving real business challenges and driving long-term value for customers. A little bit about where Shannon and I work today. We are both from Canvas Cloud. Who is Canvas Cloud? Canvas Cloud empowers organizations to better serve their customers or constituents. At Canvas Cloud, we specialize in 2 areas. We specialize in helping nonprofits and businesses accelerate their missions through process simplification and automation using CRM technology, specifically Salesforce. For small businesses, we help streamline sales processes to increase velocity. We provide a 360-degree view of customers for enhanced growth and support. And we assist in defining and executing strategic visions. With nonprofits, we've helped centralize systems to manage programs, clients, donors, and volunteers. We offer partnerships that understand and address the unique needs of nonprofits, and we understand nonprofits' terminology and unique needs. Josh, I'm going to hand this over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. So we're Epiphany. Our goal is to make working with files in Salesforce simple and seamless. So we build easy to use apps that help teams stay focused and get more done right inside of Salesforce while utilizing files that are stored in external systems. So if you can see here, we actually have a suite of apps that we've built out, all centralized around the problem of files in Salesforce. So on the left-hand side, we have our 2 file management apps, Share Connect and Drive Connect. This is our SharePoint integration, and Drive Connect is our Google Drive integration that allows you to store files in those systems while accessing them in Salesforce. And then Merge Connect is our standalone document generation solution. So it's an easy to use solution that generates docs from Salesforce data. And then we have our e-signature platform called eSign Connect. And the idea is you're able to generate docs, have them signed for signature, and then stored in the proper file management systems.
You want to talk just for a moment about Drive Connect?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So just again, a little bit of background on Drive Connect. It's a native Salesforce app that allows users to both interact with their Google Drive files, such as like docs, sheets, and slides, all from right within Salesforce. So this really solves the problem of not having to jump to Google Drive to find the relevant files and folders that you're trying to access. You're able to stay all within Salesforce, go to the specific records, and click into the files that you're looking for that are in Google Drive.
And that's what our demonstration is based on today. This next slide outlines basically what Josh just said, and we are going to send this out to you so you'll have it from there. And now I'm going to hand the screen over to Shannon.
All right. Can everyone see my screen okay? No? Thanks everyone for joining today. Our use case is going to focus on Arise Africa. Arise Africa is an education and housing nonprofit based in Zambia and run by staff in the US. For the last 15 years, Arise's network of recurring donors sponsored hundreds of students across dozens of schools in Zambia. So it's really critical to make sure those donors feel appreciated and acknowledged, to make sure they keep coming back and helping to advance Rise's mission. So today, fittingly, we're going to be talking about end-of-year acknowledgement letters. When we began working with Arise Africa, they were transitioning CRMs from using Airtable to using Salesforce Nonprofit Cloud. In Airtable, they did have a solution for generating bulk letters once a year, and it was through make.com. If anyone's used make.com, it's very powerful, but this was a really technical solution that required technical staff to update and troubleshoot because it was an HTML template for the document. So if someone needed to make a small tweak to formatting or merge field, had to know how to code to do it. Additionally, make.com charges money for every time an automation runs. So as their donor base grew, their costs did as well. There was also no one-off option. So say a donor sent a check December 31st and they didn't see it until the first week of January, someone had to manually populate a template and send that letter out separately. So as we began to look for other solutions while we transitioned to Salesforce, we were looking for something a lot more user-friendly, more clear and streamlined, and with more flexible options for those one-off situations. As we researched solutions, we came across Drive Connect. We loved it because Arise was already Google Workspace users, and they were already using Google Drive to store those end-of-year letters and organize them every year. We also loved how easy to edit the templates were in Drive Connect, which we'll take a look at in a moment. And because it was already on platform with Salesforce, we could take advantage of the power of Salesforce Flow to automate for those bulk and one-off situations. Lastly, Drive Connect gave us a lot of options out of the box and Salesforce features to send those files digitally as well. So we're going to take a look at all of that good stuff today. First, here's a slide summarizing those challenges and solutions, and this will be available in the deck after the webinar today. For our actual demo, we're going to first take a look at the Drive Connect template editor itself in Salesforce. Then we'll talk a little bit about how we set up the bulk letter generation and see a screenshot from that flow. For our live demo, we'll do a one-off letter generation, and then we'll talk about emailing letters as well and the options for that. So I'm going to hop on over to our demo org here. Give that a minute to load. So on the screen now, we are in the Drive Connect app in Salesforce. This is installed through the App Exchange, and it lives right in your org. Once you're all set up with licenses and users, you have a few options for building your templates. So we have a gallery, so you can take a look through, see if anything already exists that matches your use case. Or you can create a new one either from scratch as a doc, slide, or sheet, or using an existing file. So for Arise, we were lucky they had a Google Doc already set up that they were manually populating for those one-off letters. We were able to use that, so we didn't have to start from scratch. I'm going to go into our existing letter template. You can take a look at what this is. So you'll probably notice right off the bat, this looks exactly like the Google Docs editor. So if folks are already familiar with that tool or really with Microsoft Word, they should be pretty comfortable making edits here. Anywhere you see a curly bracket, like what I'm highlighting now, is a merge field. So this is where we can dynamically reference either Salesforce fields or, in this case, the date, without having to manually update this every year. So this is telling us it's going to populate last year's year. Every time it runs, nobody has to come edit such a minute detail in this template every year. We can even do this in the file name. So at the top here, we're saying every time this template is used, we're going to pull the donor's person account name and the year. That way it's really clear to see which file is which when we're looking later. The really cool part of this tool, though, is the ability to reference related records. So the table here, we have campaign and donation, actually dynamically populates rows depending on how many related records we have. In this case, we made a custom object called annual giving summaries that grabs exactly what we want to show on this table from our donation records. So it's summarizing sponsorships, the funds people are giving to, and even separating out fees, all while removing non-deductible donations. So any of those records attached to the donor for last year are going to populate in this table. We'll see this a little more clearly in an actual rendered version in just a moment, but just wanted to make that clear here. I'm going to hop back into our slides just to talk briefly about our flow for bulk letter generation. So we set up a flow, a scheduled flow that would run once a year, in this case on January 2nd. It would grab all of the donors that we know need a letter and start creating those annual giving summary. Then for anyone that needs a letter, we have our record triggered flow. You can see a screenshot of here running and actually creating the letter itself. Arise Africa needs to annually print and mail out letters to folks who donated over $250. And because this is right on platform, we're able to reference fields like that and elements to get the right person the right letter. So in this example, you can see on the right side of this, an Apex action in Flow comes out of the box with the Drive Connect package called Automate Drive. This allows us to create a new file from a template and specify exactly how we want that file generated. So in this case, we're doing a PDF for ease of printing. You could also do a Google Doc or a Microsoft Word doc as well. Down below, I'm choosing our template and specifying exactly where I want to store that. So by storing it in a special folder for folks who need their letters mailed, made the process of printing and mailing letters much easier. You're not sifting through and figuring out whose letter is over or under a certain amount, splitting them into organized folders ahead of time. Lastly here, and do something very cool with this package, which is access the public URL to that Drive file. So in this case, we're putting it on a field on the account record, and we're going to see how we use that in just a moment. So I'm going to hop back over to our demo org here. And we're going to take a look at an example donor. So Willow Rosenberg, as we can see from her gifts tab, is a regular donor. He's got a few commitments. He gives monthly and tends to give one large gift once a year as well, and usually covers fees for that to help the organization out. If I want to create a one-off letter, maybe a check came in after January 1st, or a donor requests an update or needs a new copy partway through the year, I'm going to click our Generate EOI Letter button here. This is a screen flow put on a button on the page, and it's going to allow us to create that letter. So once we've pressed finish here, you're going to see a spinning wheel on our Drive Links component on the page. This can be dropped on any Lightning page in Salesforce, and it's going to show any files linked to this record. So once this thinks a little bit, we're going to see our file name populated using that format we specified before. And if I hop into my other tab, you can see what this looks like rendered into that template. So we have our name, our year, and each campaign split onto its own line along with fees covered. We're including a total here, and we could include even more merge fields from that owner's account if we needed to. I'm going to hop back in and refresh our page. Now you can also see we have that link right on the page. So in addition to having our Drive copy, we have a link we can reference. If I'm ready to send this digitally to a donor, maybe someone requests it emailed, I have a couple of options. I can press the email file action from that file itself. This comes with the Drive Connect package. This is going to attach my file and let me address this to anyone I want and type up a message. However, not all of our users had Drive Connect licenses to see this, so we wanted to make this even more flexible for folks. So using the standard email action from Salesforce, this is going to populate the donor's email. Let me pick any org-wide email address or my own to send it from. And let me take advantage of Salesforce email templates. So I'm going to go ahead and insert one we've made for this demo called EOI Receipt. This is going to give a nice branded look to the email. And in this case, this orange button is linking using that public URL. So as soon as a donor presses this in their email, they can download their own letter. So even without a Drive Connect license, we're making that process even easier for donors to get what they need. I'm gonna hop back into our slides here to give you guys a wrap up. So once all this was put in place, immediately staff were able to edit these templates as long as they had a Drive Connect license without technical knowledge of coding. So they can make those visual changes, a little bit of wording changes every year in those templates and publish them so they are ready to go. Streamline that process for annual letter printing as well by putting the letters in specific Drive folders to make it really easy to know what needs to be printed and mailed off. We've also reduced the time it takes to respond to those one-off requests, which used to take maybe hours from a donor requesting a new version of the letter to staff having time to populate a template and send it, to just a handful of clicks for that letter to be emailed right off to the donor. Lastly, because of that email ready option, we have these links available if we need them partway through a year, someone needs a quarterly update, they are ready to go and can be used in reports or email templates. That's the end of our demo. I'm going to hop over to this thank you slide and I'm going to pass it back to Rob to handle some questions.
Yeah, we have one from Joey. And it says, how do you prepare them for printing as printing companies prefer one large PDF instead of hundreds or thousands of files?
I can handle that question. So yeah, no problem. For Rise Africa, they had a third-party tool. I'd have to look up the name of that, but it allowed them to go whole folder and print it at once. I think they did a little bit of tweaking with margins and everything ahead of time. Yeah.
Okay, Josh, is that something that's in the works for Appiphony Drive Connect? Because that would seem like a natural progression of the app to have that included.
Definitely something we can add to the roadmap. To add in. But yeah, how Shannon described it, it's how customers have solved it, where they're just generating the docs in bulk in a folder and then printing it from there. But I can speak with our product manager to pile that up to the top of the list too.
Okay. There's another question. If I'm an admin at a nonprofit, how would I know if Drive Connect would be helpful for my organization?
Yeah, I can go ahead and take that one. One of the things that people really love about our file management solutions, Drive Connect included, is they really like the fact that Drive Connect is not eating up your file storage by placing those files inside of Salesforce. And then the other thing is it really allows for collaboration between those users in Salesforce and those who aren't, because everybody else, basically living and breathing in Drive too, and everybody has access to it from the organization. So any files that are generated and stored from the Salesforce users are also accessible to those outside.
Okay. We also have another question. It says, so currently no option for batch processing.
Well, I mean, there is actually today a feature for batch processing. We actually just launched a feature for scheduled flows to be able to create scheduled flows to generate folders and files as well. So that is supported today.
Is that brand new, or I'm just curious because the way you
It,
said that, it sounded like it happened today.
no, it actually just
Okay.
happened in the last month or so. So it
Okay.
is available as a feature for our DocGen products.
Okay. And then have you ever used or any customers used the new feature of Google Drive built-in e-signature with their documents?
We are testing that out as a feature as well. We've been playing around with it, and in the future may have our eSign Connect app support it. There have been customers that have actually been able to generate docs using Drive Connect and still use the Google Doc Sign feature, because you can actually use that in the Google Doc editor itself. So they'll generate the doc, open it up in Salesforce, and then tag it with the new Google Sign feature. So it is stuff that customers have done already today, and we're working on exploring supporting that in the future as part of our e-signature app.
Nice. Shannon, I think this next one you might want to open your org and just kind of walk them through it. So I'll give you a second to pull up because it's a visual, probably, I'm
Sure.
guessing. The question is, I know what template I want to make. Now, where do I start with figuring out which Salesforce objects and fields to reference? So I thought
Yeah,
it might be
absolutely.
easier to do it from here.
Yep. So not pictured on the screen now, but when you go to create your template for the first time, you'll have to pick kind of it's called a parent object or a central object, something like that. So you pick kind of where everything should stem from. So if you're using person accounts, it's an account. If you're using contacts as your main object for donors, it's contact. Um, Vice versa. So kind of imagine your scenario. What's that central piece? And then you would think about what related records you need to reference, or maybe you don't need to, and all of your stuff is right on that main contact page, for example. It's great to come over to the right here and preview. You can click down and explore. It would be account fields and related objects, contact fields and related objects. And you can see a big long list of everything you can access. And just play around with how many levels deep you can go with those. You can use the merge previewer as you're building to make sure you're on the right track with what you're referencing.
And this is probably more of a question for Josh. Are there limits on how many levels you can go up or down with that?
No, as long as the objects are related to the record you're launching the template off of, you're able to continue to drill down to find child objects or upwards to find parent objects as well too. So no limits.
Okay. Any other questions that we have for our astute team here? Anything you'd like to see? Hi, Ashley.
Hi, does this work for because we do send out end of the year, but we also send out like individual gifts as they come in. Does this work for just like an individual gift if just a one time?
Definitely.
Yeah, on the component where you're seeing where the files are linked, there's a button to just generate an individual one as well too. So it doesn't just have to be in bulk. You can do it on a one-off basis too.
Mhm.
And Joey was just asking, how do we reach you guys in the future? So to reach Shannon and I, we're actually going to send out a follow-up after this webinar. So you'll have my contact information. Be happy to get you in touch with whoever you need, whether it's us or the Appiphony folks. I'm guessing Appiphony will also send something out after the fact. Is that correct, Josh? Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. We'll send
So
it.
we'll make sure, Joey, that we follow up and you have what you need. Is there anything else that's something that anyone else would like to see? Because it's the end of the questions. Oh, wait, we got another one. Will this recording be shared with us so we could share with our team? Yes, absolutely. We would be happy to do that. It'll also be on at least our YouTube page, so you can easily access it in the future. All right. Thank you, Martin. He said thank you all.
Yeah,
So
thank you. Appreciate everyone's time today.
yes, we sure do, and we appreciate you coming. And if there's anything else we can do, oh wait. Any plans to integrate with direct mail companies in the future or adding faxing?
We're looking at potentially building our own like direct mail capabilities. That's one that's on the shorter roadmap. So the ability to like we're exploring using an existing tool or our own, but that is a roadmap item that our team is talking about.
All right. Thanks for saying that, Vanson. Vanson said great webinar, so thank you. All right. Well, we appreciate everyone's time. And what I can say on behalf of Canvas Cloud, me and Shannon, we're extremely thrilled you were here, and we hope to see you around the ecosystem. And I'm sure Josh can say something very similar for the Appiphony team.
Yeah, thank you all for your time today. I really appreciate everyone attending, and yeah, please don't hesitate to reach out.
All right.